Hiya guys, and welcome back to Ed's Workshop, and this is going to be part 2 of fitting the power feed on the lathe. So I suppose what we need to do now is get on and make the bracketry to clamp the motor and the motor pulley all in place. So we're going to get straight on with that, but a little update. Okay, it's up here. It's basically on a piece of MDF. But I've sprayed the base for the Stewart Engines model, and I went for Brooklyn's Green. It needs a little, I don't know if it needs another coat or not. It's had 2 coats. Let me show the stuff. This high coat double acrylic, Brooklyn's Green, straight on top of the primer. It's done a really nice job, so yeah, I'm pleased with that. So, just an update on that. Alright, let's get to the lathe, show you what we're going to do, show you a bit of a cunning plan. I think we're going to start off straight on the mill where I'm cutting a bit of a square plate to sort out to bolt the motor to first of all, and then we'll work from there. Anyway, enjoy guys, cheers! That's an 8mm cutter with a 3mm cut, fairly fine feed. Let me just, I should be able to do this with a tripod. Power feed's running. Same sort of system as we're going to be using with a stepper motor, exactly the same motor, and you can't hear the motor whatsoever running at that speed. Just a little further point of note, I've got my little stop set up. Yeah, there's one on the other end as well. Let me take you over there. Here's the other little stop. When this travels over, it's going to hit this prong and just demonstrate. Feed stops, back on again. So yeah, I could just walk away when I hear it stop cutting, or stop hearing it cutting. I can turn it the other way, put a cut on, come back to it. So it's a bit of a walk away job. Spray with WD-40 first. Clean the slot out with a vacuum. Just let it do its thing. And I'm cutting off this piece of, I think it's 25mm thick. Have a quick squint. That's 20mm thick. 20mm thick aluminium. So yeah, it's one of those jobs you can just walk away from, which is useful, and it means I can get on with something else. That cut's just coming to the end now. It will stop. A couple mil from the end. We take the muck out. Put a cut on. Back the other way, bit of WD, walk away again. So I got the mill running behind me, and I got a long piece of silver steel, 3/8. It's almost hitting the wall at the back, right through the tunnel, and I'm just chopping a piece off. Try not to get in the camera view. I've got to make 4 little standoffs. They're 25 to 30mm long. There we go, that's that done. 4 little standoffs, and they're going to have an M5 thread all the way through. So you can hear the mill running in the background. Cutting these off 26mm long, and they're gonna, you can't hear me, they're going to finish at 25. Ooh, I lost me tip. Yes, okay, I'll have to get another tip out. There we are, we all make mistakes, you see. I was only saying in a video a few weeks ago how These little tips had lasted me just about forever. Anyway, there we are. Come on. There we go. My own fault for doing it dry. And I was running way too slow. So let's do that again. That's the chunk where it dug in. Okay, I'm going to that tool maybe slightly off centre. Oh, mill is finished. Let's jump back to the mill. So I got 4 of these cut off, and my method is they're about a mil of a length. Put them back up one at a time. Just face and chamfer one end. Just faced. Chamfered. So I could take those out, do that to all 4. That was the second one. Oop. There we go. So once I've done this, I'll bring you back. We'll do the other end. So that's one end done on all of them. So I'll simply take one of these, see where it is now, avoiding the pip, 25.73. So, you know, the length isn't critical. So put it back up. Touch on there, set to 0, and just machine 0.73 on. That's 0.7. Well, it was 0.75, but that's the resolution of the DRO. And chamfer that end. And that should be that end, that one done. So let's just have a measure. Well, okay, I got lucky. 25 on the nail. I said they weren't that critical. If it was, you know, a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, it wouldn't matter. But I want 4 roughly the same at 25 mil, and then we're going to drill and tap them all the way through M5. So let's have a look how we did. That's the 25 mil one, first one we did. 24.95, 24.95, 24.94. Yeah, within a couple of thou, 0.05 mil. Good enough for what they're doing, standoffs. I'm just going to try this this 20 mil cutter that I've got, or 22 mil. See how it behaves on this aluminium. we're stuck up a ways out of the vice, but see what it does, see if it likes it. Yeah. Seems okay. So yeah, just giving it a tickle over with a fly cutter. Right in the firing line I was then, I stood out the way now. Okay, that's all 4 sides done. And it's square at like, I don't know what it was, 99.1 mil, something like that. So my plan is with this, that motor's going to sit there and be bolted on with the little standoffs. I haven't drilled them out yet. So there'll be a screw in through here into a thread in here, and these will be bolted on to this plate, and that will locate the motor. It's going to be just slightly up from where it's sitting on the table, probably about 5 mil higher, so that the base sticks out below the motor. So 4 holes to drill. First one is, I just scribed 2 lines, 10 mil from the corners. The centres on the stepper motor are 47 mil hole centres. There's basically 4 holes. That's the first one. So we want to go 47 this way. We'll go round in a circle. I've set the DRO on 0. So that's 47. Clamped it down and squared it up on the table, as you can see. Let me come around the camera. 47 this way. Give it a little bit of WD on there. Okay, and then back to 0. Oops, missed. Okay, so 4 holes now. I'm back on my 0 and 47 that way. So these are 5.2, and that's just a clearance for the counter boring bit. So the bolts are actually going to come through from the back face. So the counter bore is actually on the other side, and I must remember that. Bring the head down a touch. Not enough travel. Okay, 5 mil deep counter bores. This fourth is being a pain. Just watching the quill the arrow and stopping when I get to 5. And I did remember to flip the plate over. Okay. So that's that done. We'll have some nice little champers on those holes now. I'm gonna have to take my head up. They're all drilled out. I'm just going to start the taps by hand. Okay, undo the chuck, take the part out, and then hand tap them in the vise. So yeah, straight on with a tap wrench then. And tap them out all the way through. The tap is long enough just to tap them right through. I do have to put the bottom end tap down through to get the distance when I finish, but yeah, just to get to the threads out the other side so that you can get a bolt in it. Okay, so that's the 4 standoffs in place in the plate. It's a good place to start. In fact, it goes that way around. That's the bottom. And the motor, where is it? Is going to sit in there. It will do. It's going to lift up. I'm going to have to look at whether the belt's going to foul this pin. I think I'm alright. But there's a fair bit more work to do on this plate yet. I think these bolts, you know, I think they'll go in without shortening them. I'm going to try it. We're nearly there. Will it go a couple more turns? Will it bottom out on the other bolt? It won't. Well, I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'll loosen that off and put all 4 bolts in. I just offered it up to the area it needs to go to see if the belt would foul, and then remembered I have to put the belt on before I fit the bolts. So yeah, okay, I had to pop that one back out again. But it was only to see if they were going to bottom out, which they're not. So, making it up as I go along, as per usual. You know, you make a bit, you think, well, I'm going to need a piece of plate, and I'm going to need to mount the motor on it, and you make that, and then you adapt the plate then, which you got plenty of meat on it to fit where you want it to fit, that sort of idea. None of this CAD malarkey. You just make it up as you go along. You look at it, you think about it, you do it. At least that's the way I work. Suck it and see sometimes. So at least my 47mm was correct for the bolt centers, because they're all going in nicely. I might have a bit of dirt in that thread. It's all coming apart again anyway, so that's the way it rolls. So what we're going to do is put the last bolt in, and then we'll go over to the lathe, to the pulley which is fitted, the other pulley on the end of the lead screw, and then we'll have a look at what the next thing we need to do is to mount this plate or whatever we're going to do with it. Oops. Good job I got a long series Allen key. We'd be here for ages on this. And it's only just long enough. I have got some longer ones, non-T handle. Okay, so there we are. That's the motor mounted, and the belt's roughly in place, and the pulley's not fouling. I did set it so it's not fouling on the pulley height against this deck, and it's going to go, which way round is it? It sort of sits like that on the lathe. So I've got the wires on the right side. So as it stands, when that's flat on the bench, I'm pulled right back. I've got good tension in the belt, and I'm not hitting any of the pins. So that would be, you know, and it's lined up nicely when I'm tight against the tray, which was planned when I worked out the thickness. Right, so I'll have a good tension in the belt there for what it's doing, and I'll be happy with that. The only trouble is I do want to be able to take the belt off. So in this back position would be its working position, and it will slide forward to there. Let's just cut back a millimetre, and I can get the belt off to be able to operate the lead screw for screw cutting, and just slip the belt back on, bring it back into position. So I was looking at bolting it to the bench, all sorts of different ideas, and I'm thinking I'm going to make an L bracket in here, bit of cardboard aided design. I'll cut a piece of cardboard out to the shape I want with a, you know, the shape that it's going to be. There's not a great deal of load on it. I think I'll have 2 studs sticking out of here into 2 slots in the L bracket, which will give me my adjustment. And I'll have 2 probably 6mm Allen bolts. I'll drill and tap into the bed down here. 2 6mm Allen bolts to bolt the bracket securely to the bed. I may have to, you know, leave a bit on it and maybe slot these out a little bit to be able to get the position right. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, that's my plan. So great big L bracket in here. I've got a big chunk of aluminium which would do the job. In fact, will it go? I'm trying to think of being economical with my aluminium. Yeah, probably go that way. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut a big chunk off this. Big L shape, maybe 20mm there, radius in the corner, come out to about here, maybe to the edge of the so I'm going to cut the chunk out. Let's have a Sharpie on the go. Hang on, WD-40 all over the end of that. Sharpie is hiding from me again. Sharpie found. It was hiding under my cleaning up sock. So yeah, maybe something like that. You know, coming out to the edge of there. This sort of idea. And then we'll have a couple of slots in here. You know, elongated slots, might go a bit narrower than that. And then a couple of studs sticking out, and so that the stud will come out of there. A couple of nuts here. You know, nothing big, maybe M8. And then 2 cap-headed bolts sunk into there. That sort of idea. A couple of cap heads to bolt it to the lathe. Yeah, I think that'll work nicely. So I decided not to make one out of cardboard. I could get the, you know, the rough dimensions I needed from basically looking at it with a rule and scaling it off. So yeah, I've just clocked that into alignment. Let me just clamp up. Moved a tiny bit. Let's move more. Right, so that's 3 clamps tight. Let me just check that again. Yeah, needle's not moving, and if I pull away, as you can see, yeah, maybe half a thou across the length. This bit's all going to be cut off, but that side and this side, I know a square to it. So I'm basically machining this out of the slab to finished sizes to a degree. So I decided to put a 45-degree angle in the corner. So obviously it's going to have a slight radius because this is an 8mm cutter. So I'm a mil off finished size and just slotting it through. Back to my reading here at 95, down another 2mm, just doing 2mm per pass. Let's get the vacuum on there. So just running a slot along here, a mil off the back face where it's going to finish, and then I finish it then with a finishing pass. I did the same on this end slot. I ran it at, well, I got some datums off the end, but it was the reading was 96. I put the slot right through at 96 to the depth I needed in this way, and then went back and finished it at 95 when I've done. So I'm going to a dimension of 31 with this. I will be going to 30 when I finish. I need to go along here now, so I'm leaving it 21mm wide at the present. And then I'll step over and take the last mil as the final cut when I'm through. and I got to wind this across to a dimension of 31, and again once I'm through I'll go to 30. So that's 31. So this is the final cut. Move the workpiece towards the camera, another 1/2 mil, and just finish this space. I didn't have to move my clamp after all. Thought I might have to move the clamp. I was very, very close, but got away with it. So into my reading on the DRO, which is let's have a clean out. Clean out of the slot. Let's just run that back out again. Okay. So, that way. Next step with this now. This is to size, finished size. It's finished overall length and it's finished size there. I need to slew the whole part around at 45 degrees. With the idea being, let's get a brush. When it's slewed round, I reclamp it. I basically join these 2 points up here and cut this piece off. So I've got a large piece of scrap rather than I would have had a small one. And I'm also going to put a 45 on the outside as well. So yeah, set it up on 45 degrees. I'm now clamping it by the part rather than the scrap, which is the larger piece of material. Well, I was clamping the part and the scrap before. So when I get to my finished size here, or finished depth, this major piece of aluminium will fall off. Here we go. Getting very loose. Here she comes. Take that away. That should be it. Let's just switch that off. Put that piece of alley to one side. Have a clean up and then we'll be able to see what we're doing. Okay, so looking at this end, I can see it's probably 1/2 mil to come forward with the part. I can't see this end yet. That hasn't got very much at all, so I think what I do is I'll go in to this end where I was. I think I'm just going to step in a bit, go back to my 0, not touching. I can hear it touching now. There. So I got the 2 pieces set up on the mill. The block that the motor sits on is here squared up, and the support bracket is here in the base, and they're both in the same orientation as to where they're going to go. So first of all, we need 2 holes in here and 2 studs sticking out. So let me bring you there first. So when it was in position, I scribed a line here where I wanted the intersection, where I wanted the other part to sit on here, and another line here along this face at the end of it when it was in its tight position with the belt tight, and then I want it to slide that way. So what I've done is, it's a 20 mil block that goes on here, so I've stepped across 10 mil for a hole here, and from this end position I've stepped 15 and then another 30, which the overall length here is about 60, so it sort of looks right. So I'm going to put 2 M8 studs in here going forward, so I need 2 drilled and tapped holes M8. So I've just drilled a couple of 8mm holes with an 8mm drill, as you do. 15 from the end, they're in the centre, 15 from the end, and 45 from the end. So we've got the same centre, so this theoretically would bolt straight onto the studs, but there's no adjustment in this, so we need to slot these holes out now. Right, let me just think. I need to be able to push the plate in that way considerably. I'm going to go for 10mm slotting on these. I'm going to slot them 3mm in this direction, to the right as you look at it, and 7mm to the left. So I'm going to get an 8mm cutter out now, and we're going to peck those out. I said I was going to peck them out. Don't know if I've shown this. So basically, I had that hole in the middle, and I stepped across 1/2mm at a time till I got to the end reading. So 3mm in total to 12. And now I'm stepping back from the centre, which was 15, this way, 1/2mm at a time, till I get to 22. So there's the 1/2mm, and I basically plunge this end mill. Doesn't matter, it's not a slot cutter because I'm only doing 1/2mm. It will bottom cut to a degree. It just won't directly plunge like a slot cutter. I got a 0 on my quilty arrow here. Okay, so that's 1/2mm. Another half. We're on the 20 mark already. Spray it with WD every now and again. And then when I finish the slot, I'll just come into depth and traverse back and forth to the same readings just to clean up the lumps and bumps along the way. Out of curiosity, I just got a bit of 8mm studding, and yeah, that'll move in there quite nicely, no problem. Okay, so my datum this way was back to 0 again because I'm in the middle of the part again, which is fine. I basically just eyeballed that on the end of there. I'm going to be transferring these holes with a a battery drill, so yeah, into the lathe, so their actual position is not critical, but I know where I want them to be. So 10mm in from the end, so I'll just wind across to 10 there. I've just written some notes on my vise, so 10 and 40. There's the first one. Maybe I can go a little bit further. Let's have a quick look. That's the counter bore. 40 seems about right. Okay, there's 40. Right, okay, 6 point, well, the heads are 5.9, I'm going to go about 6.2 deep. I've set a 0. So another 6.2. 3. Okay. Let's have a little chamfer there. Back to the 10 mark. And that is that done. So let's have that head out of the way. Let's just unlock my Y, come out from under there. Right, I think we are there or thereabouts done with that bracket. Fitting onto the lathe is going to be a little bit more fun. Nobody likes drilling holes in the lathe bed, but yeah, we've done it before, we'll do it again. So I've just found this little block which has had a former life. It's got 2 holes in it here for me to bolt it onto the aluminium, and a hole this way which will take a 5mm screw which I can use as an adjuster or a tensioner. So I've just sort of squared it up, put it roughly where it's got to be, picked up on that hole with this drill. So basically, pop it out the way now. I'll just put a spotting drill in there. Okay, we'll spot that hole. Okay. So with the one bolt in place, I can drill the other hole. I picked up on where it is, squared up the block. And there's the other hole with the tapping drill. There we are, that's a little adjuster or tensioner in place. And that will allow it to push and on that to put more tension on the belt, so I can adjust it quite simply. There's a bit of movement in this, but I'm sure it's all going to sit nice once this is bolted down in and the base is against my workbench. So yeah, there we are. I suppose next scenario is going to be put it back together, line it all up, clamp it in place and drill these two holes where these two bolts go. You can't see. These two bolt holes in the lathe to bolt it all into the bed. Well, here we are. That's a sort of complete assembly made that's going to bolt the motor on. Most of the mechanical stuff now, I just need to drill the holes to get it bolted to the lathe, and I think we're pretty much there. So anyway, next step I suppose is going to be the electrical side of it on this project. We may have a Stuart Models one coming up because with this all painted now, it's not far off ready to go back together in its final iteration. So we may have a video on that next, and then once the bits and pieces I need electrically, I've got the circuit board and the stepper motor driver, that sort of thing. I do need to order a plastic enclosure to fit the driver and what have you into. So yeah, until that those bits and bobs come in, I can't go forward on the electrical, but I will show you everything. I will do a shopping list, as it were, of everything I've used. Probably on the final video, much the same as I did when I did the stepper motors on the lathe. Or not on the lathe, on the milling machine. I'm losing it today. Anyway, as usual guys, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for subscribing, and we'll see you all very soon. Cheers now.